Right. Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. Andrew Eaton here. I'm just checking that everything is on where it needs to be. Yep, I see I'm on here on StreamYard, on my Facebook profile, on my LinkedIn profile, on my Facebook page, and obviously on YouTube as well. So I've decided to do another live today. And as you come in, please just obviously let me know two things. Number one, are you coming on live or is it replay? Type live. If you're on live, type replay. If you're watching the replay, obviously do me a favor, everyone. If you get value from what I'm about to talk about here, then just pump up the hearts. Facebook love the hearts. I love the hearts. And of course, also just let me know if you where you're dialing in from. So I can see a couple of people coming in here. Just let me know where you're dialing in from. It'd be great to know to who and where I'm talking to. So last week, towards the end of last week, I did a short little Facebook reel, Instagram reel, where I spoke about 3 ways to create leverage in your life in order to create wealth. And very simply, what those 3 are is other people's ideas, other people's money, and other people's time. But it was a very short little reel, and I got an immense amount of feedback saying, please elaborate a bit. So once again, I'm doing a live today. It's not going to be long, but just to elaborate on a little bit about how you can create those 3 ways, of leverage to create more wealth in your life. So if you are keen to create more wealth in your life, also just in the comments box here, just put wealth. I want to tell you a little bit of a story. More than 10, 11 years ago, I guess about 12 years ago now, we're in 2023. One of the things that it writes in my life is I started speaking to a lot of people who could mentor me. And one of the mentors said something very, very profound to me, which has stuck with me for over a decade now. And what he said to me was, Andrew, there's only one way to create wealth. One way to create wealth. And that is through leverage. He said, there is no other way to create wealth. He said, you can become rich, but there are a lot of rich people who are not wealthy. In other words, there are a lot of rich people who do not have freedom. And freedom comes from leverage. And he said, here, I'm going to simplify it for you. And he said, there's only 3 ways to create leverage. And that is 1, other people's ideas, other people's money, and other people's time. So for the next 5 or 10 minutes, I'm going to go into those 3, elaborate a little bit on them, and hopefully you're going to get some value from it. So once again, if you're coming on now, just put in the comments box who you are, where you're dialing in from. And obviously, if you get value, please pump up the hearts. And if you really get value and you think there's someone that you know that should hear this, what I'm talking about now, who needs to, maybe it's a message that they need to hear, please feel free to share with them. We just want to create as much value for people out there as we possibly can in the times that we live in. So let's talk about the first leverage. The first leverage being other people's ideas. Now, here's something that I know for sure. I've been an entrepreneur all my life. And for many years, I had the belief that in order for me to make a lot of money, I needed to think of something unique. Now, what I want to say is very important that we do have unique offerings, products, services, solutions. It's very important, but those unique products, services, and solutions don't necessarily always have to be your own. And I remember from 2000 to 2008, I had a business partner in Johannesburg. We became very good friends, and we came up. We were of the belief that we had to get the idea had to be ours. And we had no one to copy. We had no one to really help us. And for 8 years, we struggled to get that idea that we had to market until eventually in 2008, that idea and that business went under. And it was a really hard time in my life. And so when this mentor said to me, Andrew, you don't have to be the person who brings up who thinks of the idea. Learn to leverage of other people's ideas. And I remember thinking and saying to him, what do you mean other people's ideas? Surely, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you need to be the first to market. And he said, absolutely, you don't. And it was a moment of epiphany for me, but he brought up a couple of examples. And he said, Andrew, do you know that as an example, Google were not the first search engine. The first search engine, I think, was Bing or something like that. It might be different, but I'm just going to use a name. He said, all that Google did was took the idea, leveraged off it, and made a better idea. made a better product. He said Facebook was not the first social media platform. Who remembers MySpace? MySpace came before Facebook. He said, Andrew, what Facebook did is they looked at what all these other social media platforms are doing. They leveraged off the idea. Remember, I said, don't leverage off other people's platforms, leverage off other people's idea. And they said, well, that's a great idea. Social media is a great idea. It wasn't our idea. It wasn't us, Zuckerberg's idea. But let's leverage off it and let's create something better. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, if someone had told me that in early 2000, I probably would have got a lot further in the 8 years than I did, trying to come up with my own ideas all the time and be the person creating the ideas. You see, here's one thing I want to tell everyone. I'm just a normal, average entrepreneur. And there are certain entrepreneurs who are gifted at coming up with the ideas, and then there are others who are not. The majority of people of entrepreneurs are not the people who are going to come up with the ideas. The majority of entrepreneurs are people that need to leverage off other people's ideas. And that's why a system like franchising often can work as well, because it's someone else's idea that you get to leverage off. So if this makes sense to you, just in the comments box, whether you're watching the live and the replay, and there's a very impromptu live, so I know there are not that many people live right now, but if you're watching the replay even and you like the idea of leveraging off someone else's idea, type the word someone else. But if you think, I'm interested to see, but if you think you need your own idea, type my idea. So someone else or my idea. If you think, just want to see where you're at. Okay. So number 2 is other people's money. Now there's a little caveat there. He said it's important to leverage off other people's money as long, Andrew, he said, as long as it is mutually beneficial. So hi, Kai, I can see you on. Natalie, how are you doing? Good to see you as well. All right. So he said the number 2 is other people's money as long as it's mutually beneficial. And I remember thinking about that. Okay, because we all don't want to leverage off other people's money. It's so weird that we've got this limiting belief as a human race that we shouldn't leverage off other people's money. But isn't that exactly what the banks do? Isn't that exactly what has enabled big financial institutions to build big skyscrapers? You see, the initial idea behind the banks is that they would leverage off your money, make more money from your money, and it would be mutually beneficial for them to leverage off your money, and then obviously for you as well, because they would help you safeguard your money and earn a little bit of interest. But the problem has arisen, and I don't want to get into too much trouble here, is that it's probably debatable whether that relationship still is mutually beneficial. So if you believe that you still have a mutually beneficial relationship with the bank, say bank, but if you believe that your relationship with the bank is no longer mutually beneficial, type in no bank. Just interested to see what people's thoughts are on that. So it's very important that you leverage off other people's money. Financial advisors do it all the time. They take your money, they invest it for you, they leverage off it. You're supposed to get good returns, and they're supposed to be able to take your money and create bigger returns for themselves when they put all of it together. And that's leveraging off other people's money. Nothing wrong with it as long as it's mutually beneficial. So remember what I said. Remember what the heading of this live is. 3 ways to create leverage in order to create wealth. Wealth. I think we can all agree that whether we like banks now or don't like banks now, or like financial institutions right now or don't like them, whatever it may be, I think we can all agree that they leveraged our money to create a lot of wealth with our money. I think we can all agree with that. So if you agree with that, type the number 1. If you disagree, type the number 2. But I think I'm going to see a lot of 1s come up here. Okay. So if you can find a way to create leverage off other people's ideas, and B, create leverage of other people's money, you are 2/3 of the way to creating long-term wealth. And the third thing he said to me, and this is, I want to tell everyone here that I love this every day of my life. The third thing he says, Andrew, learn to create leverage of other people's time. And that was a real epiphany for me. You see, here's what I want to tell you, and I'm going to tell you 2 stories here. Well, first of all, I think it was Zig Ziglar, or no, John Paul Getty, I think it was. He said, I would rather have 1% of 100 people's time than 100% of my own. Let me say that again. I'd rather have 1% of 100 people's time or effort than 100% on my own. Thank you, Glenn. So Glenn says 1. He agrees with me. And here's what I want to tell you is that if you look at it, most of us have 8 hours to put into a working day. That's what we can fit in. And so if you are swapping time for money, if you are only leveraging off your own time, you literally have 8 hours in a day in which to create wealth for yourself, in which to create money. It's very, very limited. But what happens if you are able to build a business where you had 100 people who were as ambitious as you, also putting in 8 hours a day? Now, I want something to sink in here. If you had 100 people putting in 8 hours a day into your business, that would be 888 hours, because you can't forget about your own 8 hours going into your business. Now, that's more hours than there is day. And if you are making 1% or 10% on all those other people's efforts, think about what that means for your ability to create wealth. Think about that. Most people have a linear income stream because they have not learned the third one, which is the most important one, and that's leveraging of other people's time. It's why big financial institutions also have lots of things called franchises. It's why many, if we take, don't want to put any names of financial institutions yet, but there's some big financial institutions in South Africa who have franchises, and then those franchise they leverage off the time of those franchises, and the franchises hire financial advisors, and the franchises take a leverage off a little bit of each of those financial advisors' time each day to create. Glenn says, I would be so busy in my manufacturing department not keep up. It's a good problem to have, Glenn. It's a very good problem to have. So to go back to, so if think about this, if the big corporate are leveraging off the franchises that they've set up, and the franchises are leveraging off the financial advisors, that means the corporates are also leveraging off the financial advisors, and that's how they create massive amount of money. So I want to tell you stories that, obviously, for those of you who don't know me, I run an affiliate-based business. I run a network marketing business. 10 years ago, 2011, I got in out of desperation, found some mentors, got mentored by some of the best in the world. Within 5 years, I've created myself a $6-figure income business a year. And now it's gone into 7 figures. And really all I've done is I've created a business model that combines all 3 of those elements: other people's ideas, other people's money, and other people's time. And the one on time, I want to tell you guys a story about when it really hit home to me. In 2017, I took my wife to Thailand for our wedding anniversary, our 10-year wedding anniversary. And I had a business in maybe 10, 15 countries around the world with affiliates in all those countries. And it was August of 2017. I'll never forget this, because it's really when the concept of leveraging other people's time hits home hard for me. And I maybe worked an hour in the morning just going through WhatsApp, and an hour in the evening going through WhatsApp, just communicating with some of the people. And I was in Thailand for 3 weeks, 20 days to be exact. And during that time, I worked 1 hour, as I said, in the morning, 1 hour in the evening. And in between that, I sat on the beach or did little excursions with my wife. And it was in that month of August of 2017 that I had my biggest month ever. Now, I don't want to talk numbers here, but it was in the tens of thousands of dollars. And I was doing a maximum of 2 hours work a day. And it dawned upon me that the reason I was able to make so much money is because even though I was putting in 2 hours, I had teams of 1,000+ people around the world, each putting in a minimum of an hour or 2 hours a day, or maybe some of them even 5 hours a day. And if you average it out to about, let's call it minimum 1,000 an hour a day, there was at least 1,000 to 2,000 hours a day still going into my business, whether I worked or not. And I was sharing through leverage, through each in the revenue generated by each of these people. And so if I could give one bit of advice today, if you can find a way to create a business that can leverage off one of these 3 things: other people's ideas, other people's money, as long as it's mutually beneficial, and other people's time, then you are going to find a way to start creating wealth in your life, as long as you stick with it for the long term. But if you can find a business model and a business that can combine all 3, you fast track it. And so if this makes sense to you, if leveraging someone else's time makes sense to you, put time, write down the word time over here. If you believe that that the linear model is better, put the word linear. I don't know, but I'm trying to see who's getting and understanding what I'm trying to say here. So people, this is what I want to say is that combining those three ways to leverage have completely changed my life. You can probably all see I'm sitting in t-shirts and shorts from my home office. I've got a phone that I work with basically most of the time, sometimes my laptop, and using those three leverages have enabled me to create wealth in my life. So if you are interested to know what I do to create these three leverages, how I do it, please feel free to send me a direct message, or you can also just type info below the live here, and I'll reach out to you, have a conversation with you, and we take things from there. So type the word info if you'd like a little bit more info on it, and I'll reach out to you. Or if you prefer to send me a private message, you're also most welcome to. But just remember, 3 ways to create leverage: other people's ideas, other people's money, and other people's time. Combine all 3 together, and you have the holy grail of wealth creation. I hope you guys all got value. Like I said, if you did, pump up the loves. Facebook love the loves. And if you think someone should hear this, please click the share button or tag them in below. I appreciate your time, and hopefully, in the next couple of days, I'll shoot out another live if I think I can add value. Okay, thank you, everyone. Cheers.